another video. If you ride in the car, if you're at home, I hope you relax. I hope all is well. This video we want to come to today, we want to call it Living Above Correction. We living in a time of day where we live above correction. We have our infants and our toddlers who could be walking around the house and tell their parents no. When they don't like something that they heard, they could have a response to it as a toddler, disrespecting the parents, disregarding what they should be doing. And this is the time for guidance and direction for our toddlers. But because we're living in a society that's above correction, that child that needs the guidance and discipline is not being disciplined, not being guided. It's almost limitless boundaries for this toddler. So then we'll move on to our young people, our teenagers. Our teenagers have the same situation. It's almost unbridled freedom. No guidance, no boundaries, no direction. They make decisions at 15, 16, 17 when their brains are not even yet developed. But we as the elders and as the parents allow them to live above correction. So when we have the situation where we're supposed to coach and counsel and guide and direct in this situation, we let the young people make the decision as a teenager. When we were coming up 20, 30 years ago, we couldn't get a phone line. That's when the phone was on the wall. It plugged into the wall. It was like usually one or two phones in the house, depending on how big your house was, how big your family was. But you couldn't get a phone because you didn't have enough responsibility. You didn't understand money and you weren't generating it. So you had to wait your turn until you understood the responsibility. You started earning money and then you could get your own phone line. Now today we get our young people. They can get a $1,000 phone with $200 accessories with a reoccurring bill of $70 to $100 a month, depending on their plan or whatever you put on the phone. It's almost like they have, again, no borders, no limitations, unbridled freedoms that's not being guided and directed because we're living in a society above correction. The young people, they go out, they pretty much do what they want to do today, and they don't know that we're hurting them because they can only see a very myopic view of what's really going on. They got a small view, a small window. They're looking through a peephole into a mansion. And we know there are many floors, many corridors, many hidden places, many trapdoors in this mansion, and yet we let our young people go with almost limitless borders, no limitations, no guidance and direction because we're raising them in society that is above correction. So when we in our homes, the child could call the police on the parent because the society itself, the way it's structured, is taking away the consequences so that it can make it almost impossible or render you incapable of raising your children. So when we have a young person who has all of this freedom and they are not understanding that they're living above correction when correction is necessary. Correction is necessary for discipline, organization, healthy growth, and transition. So then we'll move on to, let's say, our public officials, our politicians, our police officers. And this is not all, this is some. I know many public officials and many officers who put on the line every day. Good people, they do what they're supposed to do. We're talking about the bad apples, the minority, not the majority. When we get our police officers who could have the body cam that's not working or the cam on the car that's not working, and then we got somebody brutally beaten or somebody that's killed unnecessarily, unconstitutionally because we live in above correction. I have to have everything in order, my driver's license, insurance, registration, my lights have to work, my turn signals have to work. I have to have everything in order in order to drive down the street, but they get allowed to, some of them, to have no body cam on with no cam on the car because they're living above correction. And that is not all, that is just some. Our public officials who should be serving the community, they do a lot of things that is unconstitutional, unethical, no morals, no boundaries. It's almost limitless freedoms. When they get into office, They promise you things. They say they're going to do this. They say they're going to do that. But when they get in the office, because they're already bound and obligated to other people and systems when they enter office, this is what makes the situation corrupt. This is where some of them go wrong. So again, we're living in a society that is above correction. Who corrects that? Moving to our relationships. Our relationships are unhealthy. They are boundless, almost limitless. There is no correction involved in our personal relationships. When you turn 18 years old and no one is able to correct you, when you are wrong, how do we proceed and what do we do? Just because you are considered an adult, that doesn't mean you don't make mistakes. But we must not have a society where you are above being corrected. How do we have accountability? How do we correct? How do we counsel? How do we guide and get adults to line up so we can have healthy relationships to raise our children? The children are watching the elders. We don't have enough maturity. We don't have enough wisdom being implemented in the strategy and being proactive for what we do day to day to give our children a good example of what correction, guidance, and covering and discipline looks like. So in this video, we want you to have this conversation. We want you to take it where you need to take it. We want you to take this information. We want you to try this information. We want you to test this information. We want you to like, comment, and subscribe, and drop us an email. Thank you. This is the Clipperdome Chronicles.